Of course, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be popular for quite a bit. Maybe players would start liking him or disliking him. We'll see. But he's gonna be in the competitive scene whenever he's out of CM mode. Okay, so just all these heroes I talked about, Leoric, Omni Knight, Techies, Hairblade, and Treant, I really excited to see these heroes being integrated into competitive pools because the same hero Kunkka, Slaughter, whatever, blah blah blah. It's kind of outdated. It's kind of there, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of casting every Kunkka game. It's cool that he has 500 damage and a stun, but whatever. For the most part, these buffs encourage longer games. Um, that involve turtling for certain items, especially with the Roach Tree Lens, the techies, getting that Aga Scepter. But it's a really interesting clash. I'm not sure what Ice Frog is trying to do because the major buffs of support and ganks and AoE pushing and all that is really encouraging for shorter games, whereas these specific heroes are encouraging of longer games. So not too sure what's there. Talking about the nerf, most of the nerfs is pretty much warranted. The Venge no longer canceling Kilarities, canceling daggers. Thank God, because you're running away and a freaking terror comes from 8,000 range and cancels your dagger and you're fucked. Not cool. Kunkka gets that minus armor. Not really that too big of a deal. However, you do see Kunkka getting vanguards nowadays, so that kind of mitigate that. But really, I mean, whatever. It's 1-in-1 armor. PL getting his illusions weaker. Dusa losing that point 4 in game. Point 4 int is not that bad. However, you do lose quite a bit of int in late game, and with that spell shield getting significantly weaker, you're casting less mystical snakes. It kind of means a lot, and right now she's entering that unpopular stage. Point 4 is not that much in my opinion, but she's becoming unpopular, and that's what Icefrox has set into players' mind. The unpopularity stamp is more important than any stats. I don't care if you have imba stats, if you have unpopular, you're not gonna get played, and that's what Deuce does right now. Sven, of course, 1 second nerf seems kind of ridiculous, but it's a nerf regardless. Okay, one thing I want to talk about Storm Spirit. A lot of players have been laughing. It's only 20. His attack range got nerfed from 500 to 480, and a lot of players have been kind of laughing at that as a nerf, if it's a nerf at all, right? I personally think it's a big nerf. If you think about Storm Spirit, what he's gonna solo against mid, he's gonna solo against a 500 range Nevermore. He's gonna solo against a 500 range Tinker. These, if it's a 500 range versus 500 range, nuking battle and middle, really is even. However, with that 20 range in pro players' hands matters a hell lot. And Storm Spirit nowadays go level 1 Remnant, and then level they max that Overload because Overload is a great harassing tool. And with now the attack range gets shortened a bit, that Overload harassing is just a little bit least effective, and which matters a lot in pro players' hand. I think Merlini said once, every attack in mid lane counts. If you get one extra attack win, you're that much closer to winning that lane. If you even send him back once, you have completely won the lane. You could go middle to get that the haste rune or whatever, get that regen rune. So every little bit counts. And Storm Spirit as a mid solo hero, is pretty big nerf in my opinion. So. Of course, Ancient Apparition getting a nerf, but since he's not in CM anytime soon, I'm not going to talk about him too much. And one last thing I want to talk about is that Centaur getting quote-unquote a nerf. Now you can no longer jungle Centaur with his new return change. You can still lane him pretty well, so I mean, his late game return scales pretty well as well. So, I mean, jungle is kind of changed, and yeah, pretty much that's it. There is I'm going to talk about the new CM changes. CM as in being Crystal Maiden mode, the Captain Draft mode. Alchemist being in the next top tier. I'm calling it right here. You heard it here first. Alchemist is going to be the next top tier because he could do whatever you want him to do. He could roam, he could gank, he could push, he could tank, has a possible late game. If you get that armlet on him, and I want to remind you, armlet just got buffed. If you get the armlet on him, he's one of the best armlet holders, or you could get a radiance on him. He could do whatever you want him to do. He could act as a babysit again for a range hero, just stunning like a bitch. He could farm. He's one of those really hero that you could do pretty much almost anything with. And I would like to remind you that Doom is also in CM now. When Doom was in pub, he was raping everyone. He was making everyone call police on him. Like he's doing a lot of crazy stuff. but I'm not sure how that will transition into competitive games. I have picked Doom in Captain mode. It worked kind of well, not really. He only disables a single target. He is a hard as hell to gank, but I don't know what that translates into. Um, I would say Doom being a surprise occasional pick. Bounty Hunter's also there. Bounty Hunter 6 second, a free maim, a free crit. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Very little HP. With in competitive modes where there are dusts and everything. And of course, Visage being there. Visage, a very good pusher, a very good chain stunner. Not too much. I'm looking for a pro player coming back and just doing a pro micro with Doom. The CMO does not have Nerubian Assassin anymore. About Nerubian Assassin, he's gonna be the new biggest thing whenever he comes back to competitive mode, because he has absolute map control now, map hacks. He has silence, ridiculous, like I don't know, plus 20 seconds of completely silencing an AOE. Of course, it requires Ghost Micro, but whatever. We're talking about competitive modes here. We're expecting pretty much just anything like that. Vendetta is just pretty much gay. Invis, ganking, taking a hero, and even if you're dead, you still could you can still micro your little bugs around or in a swarm and just provide a lot of map control, provide a lot of silence and whatnot. And Trian gone because of his new eye. Trian is really just an occasional pick, but he does have his play in competitive mode. I'm going to talk about a bit of the nerf, how that changes the competitive mode as well. Of course, Dusa being nerfed, gonna get picked less. Doom coming back pretty much shuts down Dusa, or at least wreck her quite a bit. So I don't think Dusa will ever see as much play as she did before. Just her end game got nerfed. Doom just eats her alive. Furion's might get picked more. Now you can cast Sprout on ground. It's pretty cool. It's pretty occasional as well. One time I got chased by 3 heroes. I casted a tree in front of them to block sight and immediately TP'd and I survived it. It's a little bit cool things you could do with them, but really nothing game changing, nothing game breaking. Maybe you can see him doing some pimp moves now. And of course, I think Storm Spirit gonna pick less, of course. I think MYM's like loving Stealth Assassin. That would pick less now with Bounty Hunter coming back. So just really interesting new changes to the Captain Draft mode, or not Captain Draft, the Captain mode, and I'm really excited to see how it's gonna take us, especially with the new support heroes coming here. And yeah, moving on to the items. Most of the item changes are pretty self-explanatory. Armlet getting a buff, SNY getting a buff. Not really much to talk about. The Blades of Attack. If you remember, on my AFK farm video, I said Blades of Attack are better than Quelling Blade, and a whole bunch of people thought I was serious. Well, I'm here to tell you now. It's even it's 50 golds even better than Quelling Blade. Just saying. So it makes things like Armlet cheaper to make. It makes a quicker phase boost. Could matter a lot in competitive games actually. It's only 900 gold instead of 1,000 extra after your boost of speed. So most of the items are pretty self-explanatory. Ice Rock still want people to buy that freaking Arcane Ring. Giving out more armor, in my opinion, won't really help. Arcane Ring is really just picked in a very like push-oriented strat and whatnot. But hopefully Arcane is really not that good of an item in my opinion. But what I know, right? And finally, the biggest item buff that the item that got a buff that probably don't even need any buff at all is Force Staff, because you know what? It's the best item in the game, right? But currently not best enough, if that makes sense. I even got more buff now, so look forward to more opinions, or not opinions, more options on ganking and support heroes. And now they're not only stuck with that bottle. They now have earn. They have like a cyclone you kind of get. You get a Force Staff you kind of get. So really a lot of options, and makes support players like us a lot, playing heroes a lot more fun, because we have more options now. We have, instead of just wards. Of course, we're still gonna get wards, but instead of just that, there's a lot more options. There's a lot more support items.